Today's headlines. President Duterte orders for martial law to prevail in Mindanao as threats of retaliation from terrorists continue. The Philippine government welcomes foreign aid for the rehabilitation of Marawi City. Top Filipino artists stage a benefit concert that will run for 24 hours in Sagada. The veterans of World War II are honored in the 73rd commemoration of the Leyte Gulf landings. Good day! I'm Pia Roses Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Martial law in Mindanao will stay despite the declaration of the liberation of Marawi City early this week by President Rodrigo Duterte. In his speech before the 43rd Philippine Business Conference and Exposition of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry at the Manila Hotel Thursday, Duterte echoed the military and the police warning that terrorists may continue to retaliate even as the top leaders of the Maute terrorists had been neutralized. As such, the president stressed that martial law would continue to prevail in Mindanao. The commander-in-chief guaranteed the safety of Filipinos in Mindanao following the liberation of Marawi. The Philippine government welcomes any help from foreign countries for the rehabilitation of Marawi City. Department of Budget and Management Secretary Benjamin Diokno said that though the government has funds for rebuilding Marawi, any foreign aid is still welcome. The DBM chief noted that China already committed to help in the rehabilitation of Marawi City. Even as clashes were still ongoing, the government already prepared its rehabilitation program for Marawi City by creating the task force Bangon Marawi. Under Bangon Marawi, the government will be providing temporary and permanent shelters, reconstruct public infrastructure, and provide livelihood starter kit and training programs, among others. The Department of Trade and Industry has provided some 942 million pesos worth of livelihood assistance for internally displaced persons or IDPs in Marawi City. DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez said the amount had benefited some 17,000 IDPs. Lopez said about 151 million pesos worth of livelihood assistance provided IDPs with equipment such as mobile rice mill, mini trucks for delivery hauling, and sewing machines. The DTI has also provided shared equipment for woodcraft, food processing, and agro-industrial business, as well as starter kits for cooking, baking, and barbecue business. Several thousand beneficiaries also benefited from DTI's livelihood equipment financing for IDPs and market access programs. This includes rehabilitation of public markets inside and around Marawi City, space rental in 50 public markets in key cities, and 5 Bangon Marawi stores in Metro Manila. A total of 500 million pesos was spent to provide market access to Maranao entrepreneurs. President Rodrigo Duterte expressed zero tolerance for corrupt public officials and tax-evading businessmen who are shortchanging the Filipino public. The president said this as he graced the concluding ceremony of the 43rd Philippine Business Conference and Exposition of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry at the Manila Hotel. The chief executive reiterated his unrelenting commitment to cleanse the government of grafters and corrupt officials as he announced the firing of an undersecretary of the Department of Budget and Management over issues of corruption. 3 employees from the Office of the President were also fired due to influence peddling. Duterte reiterated the 3 priority areas of the administration, which included ending graft and corruption in government, fighting the drug menace, and dealing with enemies of the state. He reminded fellow government employees to practice a more modest lifestyle. He urged his cabinet members to refrain from using special plates and from traveling via first-class flights. President Duterte also warned against tax evasion as he reminded the business sector to make sure they pay their proper dues to government. The Department of Health strongly denied the alleged physical beating of patients who attempt to escape from the Mega Drug Abuse Treatment and Rehabilitation Center in Nueva Ecija. DOH spokesperson Dr. Corazon Flores said there's no truth to the claim of an anonymous person interviewed by BBC News that some of the escapees have received beatings while another said they were being punished with solitary confinement. Flores admitted, though, that while it is true that some patients do attempt to escape during their period of rehab and treatment, the only sanction they receive is isolation. Currently, the rehab center houses 494 patients. The rehab center was constructed in Camp Fort Magsaysay in Nueva Ecija through the donation of Chinese billionaire philanthropist Huang Rulun. Still to come, warships from the Russian Pacific Fleet visit the Philippines. Top Filipino artists are set to perform at a 24-hour concert in Sagada. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues. President Rodrigo Duterte attended on Thursday the high-level forum on ASEAN at 50, recognizing its contribution to regional development. Duterte said the discussions of ASEAN's eminent leaders have substantial contributions to the development of their respective nations and the growth of the ASEAN community and the realization of a common vision and the identity of the region. According to the President, the recent developments in the Korean Peninsula have tested ASEAN's resolve to keep the peace and ensure the security of the region. On the economic front, the regional bloc continues to work towards bigger, more open and rules-based market where businesses, especially micro, small and medium enterprises, can thrive. Duterte said when the leaders of ASEAN and its dialogue partners meet in November for the 31st ASEAN Summit, they will reaffirm commitment to maintain regional peace and stability, pursue maritime security and cooperation, advance inclusive, innovation-led growth, strengthen the region's resiliency, and promote ASEAN as a global player and a model of regionalism. Russian Pacific Fleet's warships arrived in Manila for a visit as part of the military cooperation program between two countries. Russia's Pacific Fleet spokesman Captain Second Rank Nikolai Voskresensky said, a group of the Pacific Fleet's big anti-submarine vessels consisting of Admiral Vinogradov and Admiral Pantaliev, as well as of the large sea tanker Boris Butoma, are now docked at Manila Port. The visit is part of the program on the development of international military cooperation. Local residents will be allowed to take a tour of the large anti-submarine vessel Admiral Pantaliev. Russia's visiting naval crew and the Philippine Navy personnel are also scheduled for friendly sports games such as football and volleyball. The Russian sailors are also expected to see the tourist attractions in Metro Manila. The visit will last until October 26. The Department of Transportation issued a notice of termination to the maintenance service provider of the MRT-3 amid frequent breakdowns in the railway system. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugada issued the notice last October 17. DOTR Undersecretary for Legal Affairs and Procurement Rainier Paul Yebra says the maintenance deal with Busan Universal Rail Incorporated or BURI is being terminated due to various reasons. Among other reasons include failure to implement a feasible procurement plan for spare parts, which delayed repairs on defective trains and other facilities of the MRT-3 system, as well as failure to comply with the requirements of a complete and up-to-date computerized maintenance management system. BURI was given 7 days upon receipt of the notice to give its position paper on why the maintenance contract should not be terminated. The DOTR will then issue an order whether or not to terminate the contract within 10 days upon receipt of BURI's response. The department will explore various options to choose a new maintenance provider for MRT-3 once it decides to terminate the current maintenance contract. The startup ecosystem in the Philippines has generated interest from foreign angel investors that fund Filipino ideas that lack the needed logistics. Our business reporter Chris Mundo has this report.
Philippine digital startups have attracted foreign angel investors and venture capitals to fund their businesses. Rene Meili, president of Kubo Innovation Hub, said the startup ecosystem in the country is still young and has a lot of potential for growth. The country's young talents and new ideas have also attracted funders to invest into our digital startups. The country has over 300 startups, more than 50 angel investors and venture capitals, and around 50 startup incubators, accelerators, and co-working spaces. A recent study of Kubo and PwC Philippines showed that digital startups in the last 3 years rapidly grew, as more than 50% of startups today were founded from 2015 to 2017. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
The Philippines aims to earn up to $131 billion worth of export revenues by the end of the Duterte administration. Export Marketing Bureau Director Senen Perlada said that the Department of Trade and Industry is crafting the Philippine Export Development Plan for 2018 to 2022. The recovering global consumer markets that will boost demand for Philippine exports was the basis of the new PEDP targets, according to the official. He said the country also eyes services exports to increase its share to 50% of the total exports by end of 2022 from the current 32 to 34% share. The country targets to end this year with 6.5 to 7.5% of total exports growth, amounting to around $79.7 billion to $80.4 billion. Several Filipino singers will converge in Sagada for a 24-hour concert. Artists like Gary Valenciano, Freddy Aguilar, Noel Cabangon, Joey Ayala, Raymond Lauchenko, and many more will be in Sagada Mountain Province for the concert, which will start on October 28th and end on the 29th. Dubbed as the Concert in the Clouds, music producer Ed Formoso said the artists agreed to perform to help raise money for various projects and programs in Sagada. They will perform for free. In Davao City, 3 wanted persons were arrested when the joint government operatives swooped down on 10 villages this morning under the continuing anti-criminality and terrorism operation dubbed as Oplan Bulabog. The 3 wanted persons were among the 3,459 individuals rounded up for profiling by the authorities. DCPO spokesperson Senior Inspector Maria Teresa Gaspan said the simultaneous operations resulted in the profiling of 1,891 persons. Oplan Bulabog is a continuing operation of DCPO since the government launched the campaign against Maute terror group in Marawi last July. An AirAsia plane that malfunctioned in the middle of the runway has caused the temporary closure of the Tacloban airport Friday. AirAsia flight Z2321 just landed around 7:30 this morning and was taxiing towards the tarmac when the plane's nose wheel steering stopped working. Authorities said it was a malfunction case and not an overshoot. All the 164 passengers and 4 crew members were safe. The clearing operation was done before 11 a.m. today. The incident affected 4 daily flights of AirAsia and midday flights of Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific. Up next, World War II veterans are honored in the 73rd commemoration of the Leyte Gulf landings. Ginebra coach Tim Cone apologizes following his spat with Meralco coach Norman Black. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns. The courage and bravery of Filipino war veterans who fought for peace and freedom during the Second World War were brought to fore in the 73rd Leyte Gulf Landing commemoration on Friday at the MacArthur Shrine and National Park in Leyte. Leyte Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilla, in his anniversary message, said yearly commemoration had focused on many causes, but this year, the veterans called heroes of World War II were given more prominence, especially that many of them are in their twilight years. Several dignitaries from Australia, Canada, Japan, and the United States of America also attended the celebration. The 73rd Leyte Gulf Landing commemoration was set in low-key this year as the province is gearing towards a bigger commemoration in 2019 to mark its 75th year after U.S. General Douglas MacArthur came back and landed on Philippine shores to liberate the country. Veterans of World War II, both Filipinos and from the Allied forces, were also honored during the sunrise and sunset ceremonies. The Battle of Leyte Gulf is remembered as the largest naval battle ever fought in modern history. Ginebra coach Tim Cone issued a public apology for his post-game act in Game 3 of the PBA Governor's Cup Finals. Cone did not take it in stride when Meralco mentor Norman Black called a timeout with 38.1 seconds left in the game despite his team being comfortably ahead. He refused to shake hands with Black at the final buzzer and instead lashed out at him for the timeout called. In his statement, Cone said he regretted his actions after Game 3 ended. He admitted that he got caught in the moment and that he respects Black despite what happened. The development means both coaches will be on good terms again. Expect more rains as two weather disturbances continue to affect the country. Pag-asa says Typhoon Paolo was last seen east of Basco, Batanes, with maximum sustained winds of 130 kilometers per hour. It is forecast to move north at 15 kilometers per hour. A low-pressure area was also spotted at 135 kilometers west of Coron, Palawan. Both weather disturbances will bring scattered to widespread rains and thunderstorms in the Visayas, the regions of Bicol, Mimaropa, Caraga, and Zamboanga Peninsula. Metro Manila, the rest of Mindanao, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon will also experience cloudy skies and scattered rains and thunderstorms. Coastal waters will be moderate to rough. Paolo is expected to leave the Philippine area of responsibility by Sunday, October 22. Let's take another look at today's headlines. President Duterte orders for martial law to prevail in Mindanao as threats of retaliation from terrorists continue. The Philippine government welcomes foreign aid for the rehabilitation of Marawi City. Top Filipino artists stage a benefit concert that will run for 24 hours in Sagada. The veterans of World War II are honored in the 73rd commemoration of the Leyte Gulf landings. The holidays are coming soon. It's 66 days before Christmas. For more stories, please log on to www.pna.gov.ph or visit the PNA page on Facebook and Twitter. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.